Okay, so maybe they are having a hard time with it. That doesn't mean you did anything wrong.
Yes, I did. Releasing the journal was my idea, and it backfired in ways I could never have imagined.
It's not your fault. It's every pony else's. They're just focusing on the wrong things.
Oh, Starlight, sweetie, I know what you're trying to say, but a lot of people are gonna be mad about that. Hey, every pony, welcome back to Pony Talk. So this is going to be a fun video, especially since I'm talking about the often volatile relationship between creators and critics. So can't wait to see the comments on this. But honestly, there is a relationship between the two groups, whether they want to admit it or not. A fandom literally can't survive without a thing to be a fan of. And in turn, that property can't continue without fans to be there to support it. There is a symbiotic relationship between the two groups. But unfortunately, like Spider-Man found out, sometimes things go horribly wrong, and the symbiote tries to devour the host. This is generally where we get the idea of a toxic fandom from. Now, granted, every fandom has its toxic part. I just think nowadays we seem to associate that more and more with fandoms because they have more outlets to grow and thrive. That's how we do get echo chambers where any other dissenting opinion is completely wrong, even if it's from the creators themselves. And of course, the biggest fallacy that the creators are not allowed to fight against this kind of toxic fanbase. Fame and Misfortune was an episode all about that, how the creators are trying to say, hey guys, I think you're kind of missing the point of this thing, and the backlash that usually ensues from that. In fact, a lot of people got upset about that episode, and my personal belief is, if you got mad, you're probably part of the problem. In fact, there are certain few who thought the creators were addressing them specifically in some of the scenes, and wow, way to overinflate your ego there. Of course, a lot of these same people are the ones who say this episode is all about how you can't critique the show at all and that they're perfect and we shouldn't even try to judge them, which it's really not. There are valid criticisms of the show, as there is with every show, and I feel they've been talked about in a fair manner over the years. But some people still want to find one thing to harp on, even when it's been disproven in canon by the creators. That is what the episode is actually about. And honestly, the MLP staff did it the nice way. I've heard a lot of stories about Teen Titans Go. And I mean a lot of stories. Like, a lot. A lot. Seriously, just type in Teen Titans Go in the search bar and see how many videos pop up of people criticizing it and criticizing that the show creators are criticizing them. Or people criticizing them for criticizing the show for criticizing the creators. Oh dear, I've gone cross-eyed. But yeah. That show gets a tremendous amount of hate, and from what I've heard, the staff has fired back in less than professional ways. But I feel this is kind of a chicken and egg situation here. Full disclosure though, I have not watched Teen Titans Go in, wow, years at this point, so I'm not sure how much this is true or not. I've just heard it through people who already weren't a fan of the show, so their opinion is a little biased. But I was there from when the show premiered and even before it premiered, so I can talk about that. And I can tell you that before frame 1 of this show was even seen, people hated it. Primarily under the false belief that Young Justice was cancelled in favor of it, which, no, it wasn't, that's a whole nother thing. But then also because they didn't like the designs, it looked cheap, it disrespected the original series, and a whole host of generally whiny fanboy things. But despite all that, the show came out, and it was okay. I felt its best when it was lampooning like the original series and superhero tropes. When they were just sitting around kind of being jerks, yeah, I didn't care for that. But the fans of the original didn't care for any of it at all, and they let the internet, and more importantly the creators, know about their displeasure. You had your angry message boards, your angry videos, your angry emails, and the most popular one, your death threats. Seriously, don't ever send death threats. It's a show, people. Lighten the hell up. But yeah, all this venom and hatred was spewed at the show's creators just because they wanted to do a version of a thing. But it wasn't the old school fans version, wasn't, and that's the cardinal sin of fandom. So they raged and they raged and they raged, and eventually the creators got sick of it. And quite honestly, I don't blame them for it. And so they started taking potshots at those people in the show itself. And that's when the storm really hit. Because the one thing that toxic fandoms hate the most is being told to stop it by the creators themselves. Or in this case, being made fun of by the creators themselves. But here's the thing. Whether you like the show or not, at the end of the day, these are just people writing it. Now, there are certain times when the ire can be justified when the creator is a jerk. But here they really were just trying to make a fun show that people could enjoy. And again, they got spat on it for every second, and they finally snapped. And if I'm going to be totally honest, I think anyone would do that, and people who say they wouldn't are either lying or they're delusional. Think about it. If you were trying to create something you put a lot of work into, something you loved, and before you even did anything with that idea, people came up to you and yelled and screamed and cursed in your face and tell you how stupid you were for doing that, wouldn't you be a little angry at that? I know I would. And I might do the same thing the Teen Titans Go crew did. Because that is a human reaction. And I think anyone would want to fight back under those circumstances. But since they're creators and they're arguing with fans, that's somehow wrong. Because for some reason we don't allow creators to have a voice in this context. And I think that's another problem with these types of fans, the feeling of ownership, or more accurately being possessive. They feel that these things are theirs and that no one can challenge their preconceptions about it, not even the people who created it in the first place. And that's really the worst idea a fandom can have because it runs so counterculture to the idea of a fandom. A fandom is a large group of people enjoying a single thing. And yes, that means you're gonna have a bad element, but that doesn't have to define your fandom, and you don't have to stand by them when they're being total jackasses just because they're part of your fandom. Or when the creator calls them out for being jackasses. You say, yeah, they don't represent us. We do have some issues. We would like to talk to you about them, but we're not gonna be like those people. And that's what we should all strive for. If you have problems, if you have issues with a show or whatever you like, don't be afraid to bring them forward. Just make sure you do it in a way that is calm, collected, and rational. And be prepared for when people are going to counter your arguments, because that is going to happen. Some people are going to agree, some people aren't. And some of those that disagree might be the show staff themselves. And when they do, you handle that the same way you would when you're talking to another fan. Calmly, collectively, rationally. Because otherwise you're not a fan or a critic, you're just a big jerk that people probably don't like. Hey! What is this? What is happening? Here! Over here! Oh, what fresh hell is this? Who are you? I'm half empty, and I'm here to tell you how you're wrong about everything you just said. Yeah, we're not doing that. Hey, Red, can you get rid of this jerk for me? Hey, wait a minute! Oh, goody. More uninvited guests. Well, you're in luck. I just found out this place is a torture chamber, and I need to break it in. Along with a few of your bones while I'm at it. I'm sure that'll turn out fine. I think I've repeated myself quite a few times in this video, so probably time to wrap it up. And since these last two videos have been kinda heavy-handed and Heartswarming's coming up, I think we're going to lighten the mood and give you all a wish list of what I'd like to see from Hasbro. So until then, I am Blackbird, and I'll see you again for more Pony Talk.
Buy my book! Buy my book! Buy my book!